We're killing our planet. The evidence is everywhere you look. But sure, everyone goes about their normal everyday lives, wasting, polluting, not looking around and stopping to think about what they are doing. So much time and energy is spent in our lives working from 9 to 5 for a job you may just not have a passion for, just so that you can get by in life. Priorities first, right? House, bills, family, food. Really, we try to forget about is what is happening in the outside world. Danger, crime, that's only the stuff on TV. We feel safe in our little bubbles of protection that we think we have. That stopping to think about the bigger picture is weird and unnecessary. This time-lapse of Earth, taken by NASA, depicts human light pollution in major cities all across our planet. The brighter and seemingly golden-looking areas on this time-lapse are major cities and towns that have house lights, signs, outdoor lights, really anything that gives off any type of light. The funny thing is, it is estimated that over $10 billion is wasted annually in just the US alone because we are guiding our light upwards to the sky, not down at us where we actually need it. Whole constellations of stars that were visible from Earth have gone amiss because of this. But it kinda makes you feel small, doesn't it? It's 2032. 20 years ago, there was great excitement as to what the future would hold. New technologies, inventions, cures to seemingly incurable diseases, but there hasn't been anything like that. The world is just the same as it used to be. Poverty hasn't been eliminated, but it is decreasing with increasing governmental jobs, but widespread hunger has not been eradicated either. It's all the same as it was before. Welcome to the future. Nothing's changed. Really, there is no inevitable result to attempting to eradicate homelessness and poverty. The federal estimate of the number of homeless people in Canada was 150,000 in 2005, or about 0.5% of the population. This may not seem like a big number of persons at all, but in reality, 150,000 is a lot of people. Think about it. It would be like every single person and then some in Prince Edward Island was homeless, sleeping outside in shelters, squatting. It would be horrible, really.
My first year in office, we pushed back on that power by implementing historic reforms to get rid of the influence of those special interests. On my first day in office, we closed the revolving door between lobbying firms and the government so that no one in my administration would make decisions based on the interests of former or future employers. We barred gifts from federal lobbyists to executive branch officials. We imposed tough restrictions to prevent funds for our recovery from lining the pockets of the well-connected, instead of creating jobs for Americans. And for the first time in history, we have publicly disclosed the names of lobbyists and non-lobbyists alike who visit the White House every day, so that you know what's going on in the White House, the people's house.
The future's something we're all scared of, even though sometimes we just don't want to admit it. 20 years ago, these issues were beginning to arise, and some panic and desperation was beginning to spread throughout the areas that these certain issues affected. The United States formed and developed a new type of government and governing system, one that isn't so much impacted by major corporations and the society that develops from their power. Canada, as well, formed a new government's management, something that has been in the making for what seems like eons. They broke out ties with the monarchy, as stated from the then Prime Minister Stephen Harper some 20 years ago. The Parti Québécois has utilized to its full advantage the student movement to further complete its agenda for Quebec's attempt at sovereignty. In other words, the Parti Québécois has used the uproars in Montreal and in Quebec caused by students around a decade ago to further go ahead with the plans for Quebec being its own country. This could potentially make all universities in Montreal and possibly in Quebec City free to attend. The Atlantic provinces of Canada, as well as being a top tourist destination, have finally become the home to the graduating aging majority of Canada. Patterns were noticed dozens of years prior, mostly because all younger families were moving out to the western provinces of Canada for more jobs. It seems for the general public that Atlantic Canada has become another Florida, in a way, because of its aging population, a retirement spot in other words. Quote an article published in 2012, Canadian society is aging. with the first of the baby boomers heading into retirement, leaving an ever-shrinking cohort of workers to support the state through taxes. Gradually warming temperatures contribute greatly to sea levels massively rising by expanding ocean water, melting mountain glaciers and ice caps, and causing portions of the Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets to melt or flow into the oceans of the world. Since the late 19th century, the global sea levels have risen by 9 inches in total. Future sea levels vary for different places in the world, but the global sea level for the next 70 years is suspected to rise at a greater rate than it has in this past half-century. Unless we come together to halt the destruction of our environment, our politics, and our hope for the future, instead of being a prophecy, this will become a reality.
We all want to help one another. Human beings are like that. We want to live by each other's happiness, not by each other's misery. We don't want to hate and despise one another. In this world there's room for everyone, and the good earth is rich and can provide for everyone a way of life to live free and beautiful.